So your offer on your new home just got accepted. Congrats. Now you're under contract. Well, what does that mean? And now you're in an option period. What does that mean? Your realtor is saying you've got to pay for an inspection. Well, what other costs are you going to have? Stay tuned as we answer all of those questions and more. Well, happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the Mojo Show and a happy new year to everyone. I am your host, Joe Mortgage.
And I'm Cup of Joe Mortgage.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Appreciate you participating there, sir.
Well, all of a sudden, my whole computer just went to like making, like the robot sounds. And I'm like, what just happened?
And now your voice or your audio is different than your mouth.
Awesome. So there's a delay.
A little bit of a delay. Well, this week's episode, everyone, hopefully we don't have too many glitches like this, but we are breaking into a 3-part series answering the important questions to what really happens when you go under contract with your new home and what you can expect. But of course, before we get to all of that, a little coffee talk with the Joes this morning. It is a brand new year, first episode of the year for us. And of course, I got to ask, Joe, everybody seems to, with the first of the year, have these New Year's resolutions and stuff, right? Are you one that does that, has New Year's resolutions?
I did not this year. Don't know if my audio's gotten any better or
it has.
Okay, good, because I just shut off everything besides this and our script. So I used to in the past, and this year I will tell you I did not make one. I made a commitment to be. We had our coffee roundtable yesterday,
right?
And,
loved it.
One thing that you love doing is giving a word, because I know you love to put that out there for yourself all the time. You're the first one to put it in.
Yeah, no.
And I started thinking about it. New Year's resolutions are awesome, but I've never followed through more than maybe a month. I did dry 90 days and all that stuff. And I can't do that anymore because I keep feeling like a failure when I don't do it. So this year I actually just said, okay, I'm going to be more intentional. And that is my word, is to be intentional. So I'm going to be more intentional on my health. I'm going to be more intentional to get into workout. I'm going to be more intentional for family time.
Okay.
And so far, I've gone to the gym more this year than I have in the past year and a half. I've been paying for the membership, by the way. But yes, for the last year and a half, I've gone to the gym more this year already. I've gone with my daughter 4 times already.
Nice.
And my son twice.
Okay.
So it's been awesome to do some of this with them. Hunter's a powerlifter at Midland University here in Fremont, Nebraska, and Anna's a powerlifter also. So going in and just doing some workouts, and I'm doing the old man workouts, to tell you the truth, but I did do squats the other day with my daughter. And when I'm yelling at her to get under the weight and stop being a weenie, and then I get 225 pounds on the bar and I put it on my back and it's hurting me, I still tell her to stop being a weenie. So
how do your legs feel this morning?
Oh, no, this was 2 days ago, and my legs never got sore. But now my chest and my arms and my shoulders, that's a whole different story, because I'm all hurting right now. But no New Year's resolutions this year. It's just trying to be more intentional with everything I'm trying to do.
Nice.
But what about you, Joe? Are you a New Year's resolution person?
I'm not. I'm I get it why people do it.
Yeah.
But I think the reason that people do it and try to mark January 1st for that change of habit and that, I think that's why they end up failing, quite honestly, within the first week or the first month. To me, I guess I look at every day as a time to change.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, okay, sometimes I'll look at it as, okay, Monday, I'm going to start doing this. This is what I want to change as far as my habit, because that's really what it is. It's habits that we're changing, right?
Right.
So I'm one that it doesn't matter if it's, June 16th. I mean, if it's something that I want to, I'm going to change then, right? I'm not going to wait till the first of the year. So I'm one that I don't do New Year's resolutions type stuff.
Well, I don't know if you saw Anthony Casa, our CEO of U Mortgage. He's been doing a lot to change his health and things like that. He posted.
It shows.
It does. He's doing a great job.
Yeah.
But he posted today, I can't remember the percentage, but it's a very high percentage of people that make a New Year's resolution don't follow through even through the first week.
Yeah.
And, he was in the gym and he posted, and he's been doing the gym now for a while, right? I mean, he did 75 hard. He's dropped a lot of weight. Now him, Tyler, and Jay are kind of training for this Everest experience or something. I don't know what it is. And if our one viewer that knows these people, and this is a surprise, I apologize if I'm sharing anything that people aren't supposed to, but they're doing all this to better themselves. And that post with him in the gym was just, if you've already stopped doing it, just start it back over. And what you're saying there is a perfect example of, if I want to start something, I'm going to do it now.
Right.
We already got a first comment. Thank you. Love
Maria.
it. Read that.
I know Maria. She's awesome. She is awesome. And thank you for agreeing with me. And anybody listening in, I mean, if you've got a different viewpoint on this, or especially you realtors, as we go through today's topic of, what really happens after you go under contract. Granted, there's a lot to cover in this, and that's why we're going to break this up into 3 parts, right? Because there is a lot of things to cover in this option period, especially that we want to really try to educate people on. So you realtors that are listening in, if there's something that you feel that clients really need to understand about the option period when they go under contract and everything, please drop comments down below, right? Because we're going to try to cover as much as we can, but we'd love to have your insights, because really in educating people on this, we're hoping to be able to have the outcome be your clients are going to be more informed and in a better position for you, the realtors, right?
Well, it's going to be nice on this show, Joe, to tell you the truth. And we want these comments from agents, because we're telling it from our side. What is the option period? What's going on? We're telling you from a lending's perspective more than anything. Now we both have bought homes. We've sold homes. We know what the inspection period is, or the option period is, and the different things that happen during that option period. But I would love to know if we miss anything.
Yes.
So agents, if you're listening, or clients, if you're listening, and you have something, please put it in the comments for us. We want participation on this.
Yeah.
So, Joe, let's talk with the biggest picture of all of it, right?
Okay.
What is the option period? Can you explain that to a first-time home buyer? What would an option period? How would you explain that to a first-time home buyer?
The way that I look at the option period is this, and I'm sure all of us have bought a used vehicle before, right? Used car. Probably the best thing, and a lot of us probably wish we would have done this after we bought the vehicle, but when you go to look at the car, you're kicking the tires, maybe you take it for a drive a little bit, but it would really be beneficial if you took it to a mechanic and had them look it over, right? To make sure that it is mechanically sound vehicle because who knows what could be wrong with it, right? And I mean, unless you're a mechanic, that's looking at the car, you're probably, and even then you probably don't have the equipment there with you to be able to test things out. That's what this option period is going to be able to give you, right? Is the opportunity for a mechanic, so to speak, to be able to look over the car and to be able to decide, is there anything wrong with it? Because as long as you know ahead of time going into it, the better you can prepare for it.
Yeah.
Is that
I have never heard that explanation of what an option period is like, from a home buying to understanding from buying a used car. That would be awesome if they would start letting you have a used car option period. Like, you put the deposit down, right? So similar to earnest money, you put the deposit down, and you have, X amount of days, which we're going to talk about here in a second, X amount of days. to go and have it checked out by a mechanic, and then you can bring it back and get your deposit back, besides a small fee, which we're going to talk about in there too, during this option period. So, Joe, what are you seeing on the option period? What is the typical length? Meaning, how many days do you see on your contracts for an option period right now?
I would say, it's probably anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. And that's the other thing, folks. Your realtor is going to set that for you, not us, the lender. The realtor is going to help you with that, right? And that time period is very important to be able to get some things done during that time period of the kind of kick the tires, have a mechanic look at it, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing, if you were asking me back when it was a seller's market, there was people waiving option periods, which, drives me insane. That's just a personal belief on it, is you should always have your home inspected. Period. And that's one thing we'll talk about here in a minute on the option period. But I'm seeing that, 10 days to 14 days is pretty common in the market. And that's 10 total days. And I want everybody to understand this. When we're talking days, when it comes in your option period, that is total days. So if you get under contract on a Saturday, well, then Saturday counts as usually day 1, and then day 2 is Sunday. Well, if you only have 7 days, well, now you have to have everything done within that first week that we're going to go over. So I want everybody to understand, when you're buying a house, and real estate agents, please chime in on this. When you're buying a home, you need to know, okay, are there things, is it an older house, right? Is it a home that's been setting vacant for a time period, especially during the winter months, depending on what state you live in and area you live in, on how cold it gets. Are the utilities off when you went and looked at the home? All these things should be a deciding factor in how long you need an option period, in my opinion, because I might have to get more things done in that option period that I don't have time to get in 5, 6, 7, or 10 days, counting weekends. So, a lot of things that I don't think people think about here, especially home buyers, first-time home buyers, is how long are these things going to take that I need to get done in that option period? And you got to base it on, what is the house like? If you're a brand new house, you might not need a long option period, because a lot of things aren't going to take a lot of time. But if you're in a rural area, in my opinion, and let's say you're buying a house that's built in the 80s, which sounds really bad because the 80s when I bought a house was not that old. But you bought a house that was built in the 80s. Last time it's really been updated was probably late 90s. This is a typical home in a lot of areas. You're going to want to probably, and you're on a septic. You're going to want a longer, in my opinion, option period, because you're going to want to make sure that inspection, and then anything that might come up on an inspection. So kind of leads us to that next kind of thing that we're talking about here, Joe, is, during that period, what are the things that we've got to get done?
First and foremost is an inspection, right? And granted, there's a lot of different types of inspections, and we'll jump into those a bit, but your general overall inspection needs to be done. Folks, please don't skip this, okay? Because like I used the analogy earlier, it's like taking, when you're buying a used vehicle, taking it to the mechanic to have them look it over. That's really what this is. So they're trying to look at, how sound and that the house is there anything majorly wrong with it, right? Because if there is, you need to, like I said before, as long as you know ahead of time, then you know what needs to be done. Or if it's something, more major, maybe it's something with the foundation or something, then that's where your realtor is able to step in, and, and we can talk about, renegotiating or what have you, because the same thing with a car. I mean, if you were looking at buying a car and find out that, brakes and rotors need to be done, within the next couple of months. Well, okay, there's a few $100s. So maybe you want to renegotiate taking a couple $100s off or something from the price of the vehicle. Similar to the inspection, letting you know that information right ahead of time, so that if you need to go back and renegotiate, depending upon what it is. I mean, if it's simple stuff, folks, if it's like, Hey, Joe, you and I were talking about I think yesterday, as far as like, light switch covers or, outlet covers and stuff that need to be done. That's typical maintenance stuff,
Yeah.
right? And on that note, I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, Joe, but on that note, I mean, folks, when an inspection is done, I don't care if it's a new build even, or if it's like Joe said, built back in the 1980s, there's probably going to be stuff wrong. There's not going to be a perfect house out there. Understand that up front, right?
Yeah. I mean, the general inspection is your typical home inspection. Everybody needs to know, what do they do here? It typically takes about 4 hours, and we're going to do one episode with a home inspector. So in the next three weeks, hopefully it's next week, but I will find out. And if we can get that inspector on here. But an inspection takes about 4 hours, and sometimes a little longer, and then they run their reports, and then they'll go over it with you. And on that, they're checking everything. But the big items that you want to make sure they're checking are your AC and furnace. Those are huge ones because there's a big cost. Roof is another one. Foundation in Texas is a big one. Up in Nebraska, your basements, the basement inspection, the foundations, and things like that. That's all stuff that your general inspector should still be checking, along with electrical, plumbing. But a lot of those, like the electrical and the plumbing, the only thing they can check is what's visible.
And that's, go ahead.
Nope, there you
go. So here in the Houston area, right, something that is hard to know is, was there flooding, over the past 10, 15 years, right? Because and that's behind the walls a lot of times, right? So it's hard to detect.
Yeah, Joe, I don't know if you've ever come up with this. Is kind of off topic for a second. Hey, I'm already starting off the year going off on a tangent.
First the year
is homeowners insurance companies can see if there was past claims on a home. So that's one thing when you're buying a home in certain areas. If you're worried about that, you can get with your homeowner's insurance agent or an insurance agent and be like, hey, I'm under contract on this home, and they can tell you if there was a flood on it or not, because there's got to be a claim or they had to put something through. But Joe, you're right. I mean, if it was a little water in the house, or if you had a sewer backup, we've had this up in the Dallas area. My buddy bought a brand new house, and this is why we say, even on a brand new home, get an inspection. Bought a brand new house. I did the financing on it.
Brand new.
3 weeks after they moved in, everything just started coming back up into their tubs, their sinks, and everything. Well, come to find out, the builder, some dropped down a little piece that they cut off, and it was fine until it rotated and it blocked. So all of a sudden that blocked. Now, I don't know if that would have come up in an inspection, but it would give you a little bit of peace of mind. And that new build, the builder was awesome. And I'm not going to say the builder's name, but the builder was awesome. They came in, they took care of it. But they had to rip out drywall up like a certain amount because of the backage. Like there was a lot of things that they had to go through. They had to move out of the house. So, a lot of these things that can't be caught could still cause an issue, but they can catch a lot of things that maybe the toilet's not flushing as quick as it's supposed to. Maybe the water's not draining through the shower drain as quick as they want it to. Those will all come up in the report. And that's kind of why I brought this up, is because they also check the timing of things. And so I think those general inspections are great, but also on a general inspection, they're not electricians. They're not plumbers. They're not people that know the ins and outs of water tests and radons and things like that. And that's kind of that next thing that we talk about, is this could lead you to having to have some specialty inspections.
Yep.
Joe, what's one that you deal with, down in the Houston area, in Montgomery? What is one that you deal with that's a specialty inspection? There should be two of them in Texas that you've had to deal with since you've been doing loans there.
Well, a roof inspection, definitely.
Yeah.
Right. Is a big one down here, which is also why homeowners insurance down here is so expensive.
Yep.
And that, so yeah, roof inspection is definitely a big one.
A roof inspection is huge. I'm actually dealing with that up here. My nephew's buying a home and they're redoing the roof because there was some damage and little stuff that the home inspector found. Well, finally, the seller got the insurance company out there and they're taking care of it, which is great. But without that inspection, he wouldn't have known.
Mm-hmm.
And so having that inspection was great, which led to a roof inspection. The other one that I deal with a lot in Texas is foundation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're living in a house, if you're living in a rental house, even apartment complexes, whatever, and you look up in the corner of your windows and you see a little hairline crack, it's called settlement, right? It doesn't mean you have foundation issues automatically, but you have some type of settlement. And that leads inspectors, that leads other people to think, okay, we need to have the foundation checked. And with that, you'll have to get a foundation inspection. I recommend going through a licensed structural engineer company because in Texas, you don't have to be licensed to do foundation repair for some reason.
And on foundation inspections, please know if you are buying a manufactured home, manufactured home, you have to have a foundation inspection done, right? By a foundation engineer company, have them come in. That's standard, right? So if you're buying a manufactured home, just know you're going to have to also pay for that.
Yeah. And agents, if you're listening, one thing that you guys need to know is we can use a structural engineer report from the seller on a manufactured home as long as they have not changed anything. So if they haven't added a deck, if they haven't added a carport, we can, since they had the structural engineer report, we can use those. So if you're looking with a buyer, that's a good question to start asking up front is, hey, do you guys have a structural engineer report? Because we know on manufacturers, they're required. And some lenders out there might say they're not required or whatever. There's very little chance that you're not going to have one. And basically that is the house doesn't have anything attached to it and the stairs are floating and you can tell and all that stuff. But I will tell you from just a safety measure, having that structural engineer report, make sure everything's tied down correctly on those makes a world of difference.
It's really there all of these are there to protect the client. Right? Is really what it's doing, to give you that period.
Now, Joe, during the option period, these are all things that, we're talking about need to be done. What is a document? And in this kind of I don't see your true false here, Joe. You're killing me. I thought we had true false. We went over this yesterday.
We're going to do that next episode, right?
Well, I got a question for you, and I don't know if you need multiple choice or if you know the answer. So I'm going to give you a fill in the blank, and then I'll give you some multiple choice.
I hate these, but I'll give it a go.
What is a document that the buyer and the real estate agent can look at before the option period, before they make an offer, to understand what are some things that might be red flags or might be concerns of the house?
I'm going to go with door number 2, which would be seller disclosures.
There you go. There you go. I knew you would know that answer. Seller disclosures. This is a document. Everybody, when you're looking at a house and you're interested in that house, seller disclosures are something that they need to provide to you before you make an offer. Most of them have them, like when you go to tour a house, most of them already have them on MLS, or they already have them out there for an agent to pull.
Right.
I would say go through that. Now, the thing about seller disclosures is that is anything that is currently known to be wrong or not working, an issue. Now, I said wrong, but you know what I'm getting at. The thing with it is, if that's already been fixed, like Joe, what you said, if the house flooded 2 years ago and we had somebody come in and do it all, fix it and all that stuff, that issue is no longer an issue. I don't have to put that on the seller disclosure. So know that it's a way to make you see what they know is still an issue that they fill out. But it's the seller filling it out. So you got to be careful. I'm not saying people lie, but people aren't going to make you think that their house is a piece of crud. And, so the whole thing with that is looking through a seller disclosures to see what they're saying and then provide that to your inspector. The inspector is not really going to look at it because they're going to do their own, but
Right.
it provides it to the inspector. So that way, at least it gives them a direction if there's something that they find.
Which is another reason to get an inspection done.
Yes.
Right. So during the option period, let's talk about, there's two, I mean, we've only got 5 minutes left. I can't imagine that. Right. And there's so much more we've got on our script.
We're still on topic 1, Joe.
We're still on topic 1, folks. So we may stretch this into 4-part series. Well, who knows? But so during the option period, there's 2 other things that I want to talk about. One is earnest money.
Yep.
And the other is there a cost to having an option period, which is so important to be able to investigate, if something is wrong, because that option period, you're looking to inspect, evaluate, and renegotiate those 3 things, right? So is there a cost to that option period?
Yeah, that's a great question. When it comes to the actual option period, your earnest money is not a cost. And I want to make sure people understand that. That is towards your down payment and towards your closing cost, depending on how your loan is set up.
I meant to say that. Sorry. Let's talk about the differences between them.
Right. That's where I was going. So, your earnest money once you get a contract within, I think it's 48 hours. If you're an agent out there, please correct me, but I want to say it's within 48 hours of accepted contract that you give your earnest money. Earnest money is typically about 1% of what your purchase price is.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a down payment.
Yeah, towards your down payment. So, it comes off of that. And that's securing that you have this time to get your approved loan and all that stuff closed. We've gone through those. We'll probably do more episodes on that this year. The option fee is, I think, on the contract is what it shows. And an option fee typically is $100, $200, $300, I think is the max I've seen. I maybe have seen $500 when they were trying to win the house in a seller's market. And what that is that's just securing that you're going to get your earnest money back if you elect to cancel that contract during that 10-day option period or 7-day or 15-day, whichever one it is, that you'll get back, but you lose that option fee. So, Joe, if I walk away, if I'm buying a house from you and I see something on the inspection I just don't like, and I gave you a $300 check, are you giving that check back to me as a seller?
No, I'm giving you back the money you put as an earnest money deposit.
Right. So I get that back from title, which is awesome. Now, the option fee, Joe, is there a time that the option fee can go towards the money that I have to bring to closing?
Oh, man. Do I get option? Do I get multiple choice on this?
Is there a spot on true or false? Is there a spot on a purchase contract that states that the seller is giving the option fee back at closing or not giving back at closing?
Well, being that you stated it that way, I would say on the contract that yes, they're checkbox, if you will, of which one.
Yeah.
Right.
So most of the time, they will give you that money back at closing. So basically, it's just taken off, like it's showing that you already paid it, which is that $200 just reduces the closing cost. I have not seen typically that the sellers are keeping the option fee without refunding, like going towards the closing. I bet it happens. I just haven't seen it.
Probably.
So those are the difference in cost and the difference in ranges, 1% versus $100 or $200, right? So there's a big difference between them. So that's one thing on here. There is so much more in this, Joe, that I think we are going to have to take this to 4 episodes because I did not see us spending all this time on the one, because we've talked about the earnest money. We've talked about the inspections and things like that. Next week, hopefully, I can get Mac, which I trust him. He's a good inspector in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So, Mac, if you are listening, because I know you've listened before,
you're going to be getting a phone call.
You're going to be getting a phone call.
So before we start to wrap things up, because we are at our time, when we were talking about inspections, the different types of inspections, and that there is, Grant, we mentioned as far as manufactured homes, having a foundation inspection, by a structural engineer. If you're doing a VA loan, there's another inspection that you need to get, and it's called a pest inspection, right? So there's another one that's kind of more specific. Yes, when you are under contract, you're going to want to get a general inspection, but depending upon things, you may need another type of specialty inspection. So if you're doing a VA loan, plan on doing a pest inspection as well.
Yep.
And if you're doing, like, let's say up in your area, maybe it's a little bit more rural of a home and they've got a well instead of city water, right? They've got a well, probably going to have a, water test as well on things. So, and again, realtors, are going to help you with this, right? With these things. The only thing that we're going to help you with, and we'll talk about hopefully next time, is appraisal, because the appraisal is separate. It's separate from the inspection, right? Now, we want that to happen as soon as possible, typically after the general inspection is done, right? Before we move forward with doing the actual appraisal. But there's a difference. There's a difference between the inspection and the appraisal, and we'll hopefully dive into that more on the next episode. Next episode, what we're going to basically be doing, if we're able to get a home inspector to come on the show, we're going to have them come on either next week or the following episode. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be a great one to be able to chime in and ask questions directly with the home inspector, right? I think I've got a good idea as far as how we can kick things off with the next episode, because during that option period, it can be an emotional time, right? I mean, just because you're under contract, that doesn't mean the hard stuff's over. Now the hard stuff kind of begins. The fun stuff was before going under contract, as far as shopping for the home and everything. Now, when you're under contract, you're in that option period. That's when things really start to roll, and it can become emotional. We'll talk about that next time, definitely. So be sure to tune in as we tackle more of those types of topics on what really happens during the option period for everyone. Matter of fact, even better still, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you don't miss an episode, right? So that you don't miss an episode. Tune in though, because we're every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Tune in. We'll continue this 3-part series, very educational on this. And like I said, while you're there at our YouTube channel, which is at the Mojo Show Real Estate Podcast, be sure and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode. And this way as well, you can always go back on some of our past episodes to take a look at some of those and catch up on things. Before we close things out, though, Joe, any last words of nuggets of wisdom, information for our viewers?
This is an exciting time to become a homeowner. So this year is going to be changing a lot of lives, and Joe and I are going to change a lot of people's lives by helping them get into a house. So tune into us, call us, email us. We're here to help. But this is going to be a fun year in the market. Not an interest rate drop. I'm going to put this out there. We're not seeing a bunch of interest rates getting way down, but we saw some stabilization in the rates, and sixes and high fives are possible. Low sixes, high fives are possible. This is going to be a year where you make the decision to stop throwing your money to rent and start buying. I'm excited that we're starting this off with the option period, because this is the whole thing starts once you get under contract to see if this house is right for you. But don't get so specific and dialed in on all the small little things on these inspections. And I know we'll talk more about that next week. Sometimes these little things, you can fix those quickly. It's the big things on the inspections that you really want to watch for. Which is why you need the inspection to begin with. So, well, I'm Joe Mortgage, and that handsome guy with the beard is Cup of Joe Mortgage, and we'll see you next week.